My name is Kyle Gilbert, and I have aphantasia. Aphantasia is a condition where a person has a very difficult time or even can't visually imagine things. Normally when people want you to understand this sort of thing, they'll ask you to imagine something very simple, something like an apple. You know, the apple it might be red, it might be green, has a stem, has a leaf. For every person, this apple will look a little different. For me, when I think of this apple, I never truly see it. I know what an apple is, and I can describe it, but I can never see it. I can even almost feel it, but I can never see it. There's nothing to see. Aphantasia was first recorded in 1800 by a man named Francis Galton, who was doing a psychiatric study on imagination and found that a very small percent of the people he studied showed no imagination at all. The word aphantasia comes from Greek, phantasia meaning imagination and a meaning none. So it literally translates to no imagination. Growing up, I always enjoyed making art. Still do. Every time I would draw, though, or sketch, I would have to make a lot of lines. I would have to just constantly make lines until one of them looked good enough, and then I would keep it. I'd normally make that line darker than the others, or erase the other ones. In high school, I started to focus less on drawing and painting and more on three-dimensional art, more on sculpture work. Three-dimensional art was easier for me, and it felt like, with drawing and things, I could never get my mind made up on what I wanted to make or what exactly I wanted to draw. With sculpture work, especially with clay, it felt like the complete opposite, where I could I could feel what I wanted to make, and it made it easier on me. Another thing that was very difficult for me growing up was that I never really liked to read, especially fiction books. And this is something that other people with aphantasia also have struggles with. That with a book, they have a hard time connecting with the characters. They have a hard time being there in the story or like feeling like they're there. And I think that's because there's no visual stimulus. There's nothing to imagine, to see, to really be there. Which is completely the opposite from film. I think that really got me interested in movies and TV shows and other things from a fairly young age, and that's kind of what led me into choosing to study and to work in film. The idea that I imagined something different from another person never crossed my mind. I thought that when someone described mind's eye, it was just a turn of phrase. It was just something you said, but it was never that your eye was open when you were imagining something. It was never that there was anything to see. And that's one of the biggest issues with aphantasia, is that it is so difficult to talk about, so difficult to think about. And so I hope this has given a better sense of it, or a better idea of aphantasia, or maybe an idea at all. It's pretty rare, and only recently has it begun to really resurface, and people have thought about it. So I ask that you just going forward talk about it to other people, because at the end of the day, no one person will know they have it until someone else tells them they have it.